The Prime Minister's office has said that the move comes as part of efforts by the Prime Minister to provide due respect to the real-life heroes of the nation. Joining us on the broadcast now to take this conversation forward is Group Captain V.N. Shah. He's a senior scientist and also the former Joint Director of DRDO. He's also a defence expert. Joining us on the broadcast, we also have Major Mohammed Ali Shah, who's a defence expert, Sanjeev Srivastav, an international affairs expert, Major General A.K. Sivach. He was the former head of Territorial Army, Geostrategic and Defence, and Wing Commander Praful Bakshi, former IAS spokesperson, also with us on the broadcast for more on the story. Major Shah, you know, when events like this happen, you know, it also gives a historical significance. You know, in a certain sense, we're also rewriting history because we're giving names to these islands based on national heroes, based on sacrifices that have been made by our own national heroes. And the fact that, sir, it comes on Parakram Divas, a day that is celebrated, for Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, makes it all the more special, does it?
Absolutely, Baidi. You know, in the year 2018, earlier, the Ross Islands were named after Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. And now we have 21 islands in Andaman Nicobar, which would be named after our Param Veer Chakra heroes. In fact, it is something really very special, something to really honor with. In fact, I, as an officer, when I was undergoing my training, I was trained by now Subedar Major Sanjay Kumar, who is an instructor right now at NDA. He had trained us to become officers. So we are very lucky to have had instructors who are Param Veer Chakra awardees. In fact, Param Veer Chakra Yogendra Singh Yadav, I just this morning I exchanged some messages with him. I am very much in touch with him. He's a very, very dear friend. In fact, Subedar Major Honorary Captain Bana Singh, in fact, I interviewed both since they are not in service. So that is the kind of reverence we must give to our actual war heroes, because they are the ones who have actually sacrificed and they have been totally unmindful of their own personal safety. They have gone beyond the call of duty and they've risked their lives to ensure our safety. So there's a quote for them. In fact, how can a man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods? Also, there's a quote which I would leave by saying, when you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow, we gave our today. So yes, most certainly, it is something which we all should rejoice about this, Paradeep.
Now there's also going to be the national memorial dedicated to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose that is also going to be unveiled by the Prime Minister today. We're expecting the Prime Minister to just speak in a short while. Major Shah, you know, when we visit, let's say, for instance, Washington, D.C., there's the war memorial that you see. There's also a 9/11 memorial. There's, of course, you know, so many memorials to commemorate the lives that have been lost as a tribute. The fact that we now have in Andaman a memorial for Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, the very same person who indeed, was able to capture the islands for a very brief period during World War II from the British. How big of a boost do you think this is going to be in terms of showing to the world that India remembers its history? And India not only remembers it, but is very, very proud of it and wants to give a tribute to our national heroes.
Absolutely, Paradhi. This is a very, very touching and a very emotional question that you have brought out. You know, we do remember our history very, very clearly and very well, and the tribute we give to our war heroes, to our nation's true heroes, because of which we are here today, we are being able to speak, and we are able to live and breathe and in peace. I'll tell you a small story, Paradhi. We were talking about Param Veer Chakra awardees. On 18th November 1962. I'm talking about the Battle of Razangla, where Major Shah Singh Bhatti was awarded the Param Veer Chakra, the highest award for gallantry posthumous. On 18 November 1962, there were 120 men. It was a company, a Charlie company of a 13 Commando battalion was placed at Razangla. They got input that a full brigade, over 5,000 Chinese soldiers were advancing towards Razangla, and Major Shah Singh Bhatti was ordered to move behind. But he said he refused to move behind. He gathered his men and he told them that we have a full brigade of the enemy approaching us. There is going to be no victory over here. By tomorrow morning, we all would be martyred. But I refuse to leave behind. if any of you choose to go right now. If you all choose to be with me, stand here with me right now and let me know. The whole company said, Saab, we are with you. Jai Hind. And that is the time when the enemy was closing in. This all happened at 18,000, above 18,000 feet above mean sea level in minus 10, lower than minus 10 degrees centigrade. We were not fully acclimatized. We were not very battle ready with regards to our equipment, but the Chinese had come fully prepared. And when they came in close range, we had very old vintage assault rifles. We opened fire against the 5,000 Chinese troops. When we ran out of ammunition, we fought with stones. When we ran out of stones, brave men charged with their bayonets, totally unmindful of their own personal safety. They went ahead and they charged at the enemy. Imagine 120 brave hearts giving a befitting reply to 5,000 Chinese troops. I get emotional, I get a choke in my throat, but I will tell you about the story. Now, when this happened, few of the men played dead, few of the
Major
men...
Shah, I'm so sorry, Major Shah. I'm so sorry I'm having to interrupt you there. The Prime Minister has just started. As Major Shah, do you agree, sir? Do you think that renaming and naming is just an exercise, and the fact remains that it doesn't really make a difference in the larger sense? Or do you think that naming and renaming has its own significance, especially when we get, especially when we let go of names that reek of a colonial past, of a colonial history?
No, I think it's very important to let go of the names of the colonial past. It gives a psychological effect to us, and we should remember the people who have actually served us, who have served the nation. And it's very unfortunate sometimes, Pariti, we tend to remember people who are not there with us anymore. We should also remember people who are there with us right now existing. Like, for example, we have a couple of Param Veer Chakra alive in service, and one of them is in service. One of them have been my Ustad, my instructor in academy who trained me to become an officer. I'm talking about Subedar Major Sanjay Kumar, who's now at the NDA, who's training cadets over there. And of course, Honorary Captain Yogendra Singh Yadav is there, who is very, very closely known to me, in fact. Subedar Major Bana Singh is there. In fact, so it is very important to recognize these legends, and because they have actually risked and they have lived up. Many of the officers who are, in fact, all my seniors over here, we all have taken one common oath which binds us together, the Chetwood Credo, which says the safety, honor, welfare of your country comes first, always and every time. The honor, welfare and comfort of the men you command comes next. Your own ease, comfort and safety comes last, always and every time. So yes, it is very, very important. As they say, what's in a name, right? Some people say, what's in a name? But there is a lot in a name. Like if I go through a road of, say, Honorary Captain Yogendra Singh Yadav Road, I'll feel very proud. I'm like, okay, he is still alive, very much with us in flesh and blood and spirit. And yes, we're going through the Param, as Brigadier, as General Jani rightly said. Param, the supreme, the ultimate. For example, the Param Vishesh Seva Medal. It is the ultimate award for service, for the highest, for the kind of service. Param Veer Chakra. Veer. There is Mahavir Chakra, there is Veer Chakra. Now there is Param. There is the Param is the supreme. There's nothing beyond that. And as you were talking about the story of Major Somnath Sharma in Badgaam, in 1947, in fact, it was the month of November 1947 when the Lashkar, thousands of Lashkars had come over, and there was only one company of 4 Kumaon, and that company gave a befitting reply. The patrols were set out by Brigadier Sen, which were to return by 1400 hours. But then by 1300 hours again, there were different patrols assigned. But here, Major Somnath Sharma single-handedly, who continued giving orders and went on to post, even despite the fact that a shell of an ammunition shell which burst, and he was wounded grievously, but he continued passing orders. He continued passing orders till his last breath, and that was the supreme sacrifice he made. He was martyred in action for our supreme, for our nation. So yes, we remember our heroes, and when we talk about the naming and renaming, well, it is it gives me immense pride to see roads named after our war heroes, our battle heroes, of army officers. These are the true heroes. That is why it is said to choose our heroes carefully. In fact, you never know who you would end up idolizing. So people say movie stars is that, but it is the actual heroes. The actual heroes are the men in uniform, Parasi.
Absolutely, sir. The men and the women in uniform.
Yes.
If I ask Major Shah, what do you make?
I'm not there.
What do you make, Major Shah, of everything the Prime Minister has said, especially about Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose? He's of course spoken at great length about the Azad Hind Fauj, about how it is that the Azad Hind Fauj and Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose first flew the flag of the Fauj at Andaman and Nicobar, sir. The Prime Minister has spoken greatly about Netaji. Your reaction, sir, your comments on this tribute to our freedom fighter?
Absolutely. Netaji, unfortunately, he didn't get the kind of recognition that he deserved until now. And steadily, we are beginning to recognize the contribution of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. In fact, there was a film which was made called Rag Desh, directed by Tigmanshu Dhulia, in which I had an important part. I acted in that film called Rag Desh, which was premiered at the Rashtrapati Bhavan when it was released. So in that we have actually brought about the contribution of Netaji, and in fact Netaji and Pandit Nehru, they were friends. In fact, even Mahatma Gandhi were friends. In fact, so they were actually. But then the thing about they were not friends. No, they were very much friends. In fact, Netaji's air crash, in fact, that still remains a mystery till today. Nobody knows. There have been Gubnami Baba, and there have been a lot of other people who have come forward and they have taken a claim. But we don't know the actual facts, whether it was actually Netaji or not. But yes, at the same time, I would say the kind of contribution that he actually gave toward the country, the kind of sacrifice he made, and the kind of the Indian National Army, so well trained. In fact, after the Second World War, in fact, in Japan, when the Indian National Army was actually formed, Netaji was the man behind actually taking up arms, and he says, okay, rightly so. And in fact, so when our Prime Minister pays tribute to Subhash Chandra Bose ji, in fact, it is really, and it was very heartening in 2018 when Rose Island was renamed after Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. I think it is very, very heartening, and it is something. My thoughts on that is, yes, it is. Whole nation should come forward and talk about our freedom fighters, about people who gave us the freedom that we are in today, Parisi.
Thank you so much, Major Shah, for giving us your perspective. Also, a big thank you to Group Captain Veer Chakra, as well as Sanjeev Srivastav, Group Captain UK Devnath, Major General Jaini, Brigadier Chatterjee, as well as Commodore Rajpal for joining us on the broadcast. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It's been a great conversation to have discussed this with you.